Hey, what's up, y'all? DJ the Sports Blur, and I'm back. Did you miss me? Hey, man, I wanted to give you guys all a shout out, man. Some of my last few videos have been absolutely blowing up, getting a lot of comments, getting a lot of views. I love talking college football with you guys. I love the back and forth that we do. So if you're a fan of college football, thank you for taking the time out to watch one of my videos. Consider subscribing, liking, all of that, sharing, whatever. But I'm going to hop right into today's video. Who is the real #1 team in the Big Ten? Is there any reason that Ohio State should be afraid of Michigan right now? Potentially. We'll see as we go down the line. So going to do a weekly wrap up of this week's games. I'm going to do about 5, 6, 7 games here. But we're going to start with my top 5. Right now I have Ohio State as the #1 team in the nation. I have Georgia #2, Michigan #3, Tennessee Volunteers #4, Alabama #5, and then just for bonus, I'm going to throw in Clemson at #6. Alabama, man, they still have a lot to say. If you've been watching my videos, you guys have been hearing me say over and over and over again, even from last year, that Alabama is on the way down from this dominant era that they've been able to put forth. Still have a lot left to give in the tank. So Alabama's going to have a lot to say at the end of the year. And speaking of Alabama, let's go ahead and get into the first game I want to dive into. #3 Alabama versus #6 Tennessee. This was a really good game. Tennessee won this game 52-49. Bryce Young was amazing. If you watched that game, he stood out as the best player who was on that field that day. 35 of 52, 455 yards, a couple touchdowns. And the way he was able to use his feet to extend plays, to extend drives, it was just a quarterback masterclass watching Bryce Young. Not an Alabama fan, but I will always give credit where credit's due. Hendon Hooker, he played an amazing game. 21 of 30, 385 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 INT. Tennessee flexed why they are one of the top offenses in the country. I mean, they were averaging 46 points per game. I thought, if they're playing Alabama, they're obviously not going to score that many points on them. I was absolutely incorrect about that. They went ahead and gave Alabama the 52 piece. That was just insane to watch. One of the things I've been seeing this year with Alabama, their defense has been pretty susceptible. They've been able to, they've been gashed, they've been undisciplined, and it doesn't really look like a Nick Saban defense. Now, Alabama's still going to be very strong. Again, I've said this before, but they've really been had. Now, where does Tennessee go from here? I don't think that, they're done yet. I don't also think that they're a championship team just yet. I think they're a couple pieces away. However, they're still going to have to contend against Georgia, and they're also probably going to have to see Alabama again in the SEC championship. This is going to be on a neutral field, and this is if Tennessee wins out, by the way. This is probably going to be on a neutral field, and then I don't know if they can beat Alabama twice in a year. So, it's going to be really interesting to see where they're going to go from here. But they have a quarterback, Hendon Hooker. Shout out to Jay Bain, by the way, who asked me this question, if I think Hendon Hooker should be in the Heisman race off of of his last few games. Absolutely, I do. Because you got to look at the competition who he's been playing against. You got to look at the stats he's been putting up. And then you also have to look at their offense in general. I mean, Tennessee right now has the #2 offense. They're only #1. They only trail by, they only trail the Ohio State Buckeyes. And it's such a razor-thin margin that, you can put them up there. So when you start looking at some of, his body of work, his resume, absolutely. I think he's in the top 6, 7 guys, when it comes to potential Heisman candidates. A couple things I want to get to this game, and then we go to the next one. First downs. This game was really evenly matched. Alabama had 32 first downs. Tennessee had 29. The total yards, Alabama had 569 total yards. Tennessee had 567. However, this is where the game broke. Alabama had 17 penalties for 130 yards, where Tennessee only had 6 for 39. So I feel like that right there was why the game played out the way it did. Texas versus Iowa State. Texas wins a close, ugly game, 24-21. Texas is very inconsistent. One day they'll play up to their competition. They'll play Alabama. and they'll play them right to the bell, and then they'll play down to the competition, i.e. Texas Tech and also Iowa State. I believe Texas is about a year away. Next year, really look out for them. They're going to be okay this year, maybe lose one more game, but next year I think they're going to have an opportunity to make some national championship aspiration noise. So might be in the playoffs next year. Clemson, number 4. Clemson beat Florida State. Not even really a close game, 38-24. Mississippi State, number 16. They lost to the number 22 Wildcats, 17-27. Oklahoma State and TCU, they played a very good game. Now, I picked Oklahoma State to win this game, but I thought it was going to be very close. They ended up losing 40-43 to TCU. So very interesting game. Actually, I enjoyed watching it as well. USC, I picked USC to win this game close. They lost to Utah 42-43. Caleb Williams was phenomenal. I mean, 25 of 42, 381 yards, 5 touchdowns. You really can't get any better than that. Mario Williams, the Oklahoma transfer, 4 catches, 145 yards. Really just played well. But I really felt like Lincoln Riley is a great offensive mind. But one of the things that I've seen, and it showed his head at Oklahoma, is going to show his head at USC. He's not a defensive coach. You know, if he's going to beat you, he's going to beat you because he put more yards and points up on the board than you did. He's not going to stop you from scoring a bunch of points. Utah, really, man, they played a heck of a game, man. They had an opportunity to really go down and, count themselves out, but they kept fighting, they kept going, they kept coming back. And so, they won that game by a point. Speaking of teams who needed a win, Oklahoma, they beat Kansas 52-42. Dylan Gabriel came back from a concussion, 29-42, 403 yards, 2 touchdowns. Oklahoma had 701 total yards that game. Really amazing offensive performance. But I'm still not sold on Oklahoma. Kansas has lost 2 in a row now. Now they've also lost their quarterback. So that definitely added into why they're losing back-to-back games. But their backup quarterback was 16 for 27 for 265 and 4 touchdowns. And they had 420 total yards and 42 points. If you're Oklahoma, if you're Brett Venables, specifically Brett Venables, who is a defensive-minded coach, this is completely unacceptable. You'll take a win because you needed a win, but you have to get better. Now, let's move on to the game that pretty much headlines this video. Michigan versus Penn State. Michigan has looked absolutely amazing, y'all. I hate to say it as an Ohio State fan. I really do hate to say it. But they came out here and they just absolutely smoked Penn State. Penn State came to this game as a top 10 team. They lost 41-17. And if you can believe it, it wasn't even that close. Just complete dominance by UM. So J.J. McCarthy, he's a game manager, maybe a little bit more. 17 for 24, 145 yards. However, Michigan's run game, they ran for 418 yards. Donovan Edwards ran for 16 carries, 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Blake Corum was just Blake Corum. Man, I've really been impressed by this kid this season. He has been the battery in Michigan's back this whole season. So Blake Corum, 28 carries, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns. Is Michigan the best team in the Big Ten? I don't know yet. I would say right now, if you put a gun in my head, I would say no. I still don't think they can beat Ohio State. I think Ohio State's the most complete team, not only just in the Big Ten, but in the country right now. However, I said the same thing last year, and Michigan beat Ohio State pretty soundly at that too. So, you give C.J. Stroud another year under the offense. You get him some more weapons. They're just regrouping. Ohio State is just pounding teams left and right. And I'm not ready to say Michigan is better than them, but I'm really starting to look forward to this game coming up at the end of the season in Columbus, Ohio. So, I still think Ohio State's the best team in the nation. Obviously, I have them ranked number 1. I still think they're the best team in the Big Ten. But if they're 1A, I would probably put Michigan as a 1B right now. They have been just absolutely phenomenal, lights out. They came into this season not really playing really good competition. I think they played UConn, Hawaii, and I forget who else they played. So I really wasn't impressed by some of their wins, but they have been just a complete dominant, physical team. They have been the Big Ten team of old, right? Where you just turn your back and hand it off to the running back, and it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. So I'm really happy that kept Jim Harbaugh through all the bad times and let him build what he finally is starting to have at Michigan. So, short answer, nah, Michigan's not the best team in the Big Ten just yet, but maybe they will be. All right, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe, all of it. I really like I said, going back and forth with you guys in the comments. Let me know what kind of videos you guys would like. I'll put out some more content, and then we'll go from there. Until then, later.